In today's video, we're going to be learning how to create your name tag. This is what you're going to use the entire year for every project, so keep in mind that it kind of has to go with possibly everything that you're going to make. It can come in many forms. It can come just as itself, as a larger scale print, but will commonly be seen in a much smaller, maybe a 4-inch by 1-inch rectangle down the road. So let's get started by opening up Adobe Illustrator. That is located here on my taskbar. You could search for it in the Mac features on your MacBooks by hitting F4 and then just typing in the search bar at the top, Illustrator, and then you will find it right there. This is what the Illustrator screen looks like. If you had anything recently, it will be in here. But we need a new file, so you have a couple different options. You could either hit Create New right here or File, New. Don't worry about any of the existing templates at the moment. I already have this set up over here, so this is kind of easy. Just in case it's not though for you, you want to make sure that your file size is in inches right here where I'm circling around right now. The width of this size is going to be 7 inches, but if you were just to type it, you can just hit 7. You don't have to type the IN. And then the height is going to be 3.5, giving us like a nice long rectangle. Instead of untitled, whatever it might be at the top, it might be untitled 1. For me, this is my third one, just from what I've been working on today. I would prefer that you rename this with your first name, then your last name, then the words name tag. This way, when it saves, it's a lot more understandable to not only you, but to me when you submit it to me, whose project this is and what kind of project this is. Color mode, everything down here should be default and good, but let's just double check anyway. Don't worry about top, left, center, right. That better all be 0. Orientation should default to landscape because we typed this in. If it's not, don't worry about it. Artboard's 1. Color mode, CMYK. This stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. These are the colors of ink in a printer, which is good because this is going to be printed a lot. Right here, raster effects. You want this set to 300 pixels per inch, or PPI. And then preview mode, you can just leave as default. Don't worry about more settings. These are all we need for right now. Go ahead and then hit the bottom right button called Create. Give it a second as it creates your file. Hide that. This is your big white rectangle canvas here that we're going to be doing everything in. We need to zoom out, though. There is a zoom tool, but honestly, the keyboard shortcut is so far and large better. In my opinion, it's definitively the best way to zoom in and out. If you look at your keyboard, if you're on a Mac, which we all are in class, you're looking for the Command key to the left or right of the space bar, and then the plus or minus sign at the top. If you hit or hold Command and hit minus, you'll see it zooms you out each time you tap minus. If you hit Command or hold Command and hit plus, it will zoom you back in. Another way that you could look at the zooming features is down here in the bottom left where it says 100% at the moment. That means I'm 100% zoomed in on this project. If I were to type in 50 and hit enter, you'll see that it zooms out to 50%. Or if I were to type like, I don't know, 4,000, it zooms me in a lot. So I am going to just mash Command minus so I can kind of see my whole canvas. 66.67 is pretty good. All right, so we are going to go over a lot of tools and a lot of techniques for this little project, so I guess buckle up. First thing that we're going to be looking at is the shape tool, or all the different kinds of shape tools. It's where I've selected right now if you guys want to go look for that. If you click and hold down, you're going to notice that additional tools will come up. We are looking for the third one called the ellipses tool. Think oval or circle. Alternatively, you'll see here it has a parentheses with the letter L in it. What you can do with these are called hotkeys, meaning that you can just press the key on your keyboard and it will automatically select the tool. So I will not choose the ellipses tool right now. Oh, let me cancel. I'm just going to hit L on my keyboard, and you'll see that it has already changed and selected the ellipses tool. So it's something that I really recommend that you become familiar with. You can save a lot of time rather than digging for the tool. Just hit the keyboard shortcut. Okay, So now that I have the ellipses tool, I can go ahead and draw ovals or circles and yada yada. And I'm going to tell you to draw a circle, but I want you to draw a perfect circle. And you're going to be like, yo, that is really hard to do because I'm getting ovals and whatnot. While you're clicking and dragging to draw a circle, hold down Shift, the keyboard Shift key, and you'll see that it keeps it in a perfect circle format. I want you to make one that's a little bit bigger than the canvas itself so that the top and bottom of the circle do poke out of the canvas like that. If it doesn't align up right, which mine definitely didn't, we can take the move tool and kind of move it around. So I want to show you where that is right now. Very top left of your tools right here, the black arrow is the selection tool. Think of that as the move tool. That's what it's called in Photoshop, anywho. The hotkey for this is V, which makes no sense with selection tool, but they take that from Photoshop because MOVE for move. So you can now go ahead and move this around by just clicking and dragging. So try to get it towards the center. It should snap somewhere around there is good. Once you have this, we're on to like a whole new part. So we went over the ellipses tool and the move tool. One of the huge things about Illustrator is the fill and the stroke colors. It's where my mouse is circling around right now in the bottom left-ish of this window. The best way to describe this, fill is a lot easier to describe than stroke is. Fill right now is set to white. You can see this white square right here. Fill is the inside color or whatever fills the object. If I double tap on the white, I can change it to any other kind of color I want and then click OK. And you'll see that my circle changes colors entirely to whatever color that is. For the sake of this demo, I haven't made one yet with like a dark navy, so I think I'm going to try that out this time. So I'm going to go down here to something like that. You can use these sliders here to change the entire hue or color family, and then the individual like shade or saturation in the other bigger window. Then click OK. Now, right now, it's hard to see because I have it selected. I'm going to unselect it and zoom in with Command+. It has a really thin black outline to it right now when I zoom in. You can kind of even see it when I'm zoomed out, actually. What this is right here. If you hover over it, it's called stroke. Not like something that you would have if you have a heart attack, but something that kind of outlines an object. We want to get rid of this. So I'm going to click on the stroke to kind of like bring it to the forefront of the fill. You'll see that like they kind of bounce around when you click on them. One kind of juts in front of the other. So now I have the stroke selected properly. Right below here, you either have color, gradient, or none. I don't want a stroke right now. I never want a stroke. I'm going to click, I don't want an outline stroke. And I'm going to go ahead and click this none slash. And that will get rid of that black outline around your circle. Oh, mine didn't because I didn't have it selected. So let's redo that and then click there. Now if I click off, you'll see it's just a normal circle at this point. So I'm going to make sure that my object is still selected. You can tell when an object is selected because of the binding box, all of the path dots and anchor points, and it should be pretty obvious of no selection, selection. So really right now, select your object, go in here, find a color that you seem fit, and then pause this video, get your color, and then go ahead and press play again. When you are ready for the next step, we have to set up a mesh tool. Mesh tool is located right here. It's not a tool that we're going to use very often in the projects this year. Its hotkey is U, as in unicorn, but you will not have to remember that. I doubt we'll use this one often. So what the mesh tool does, you'll see, is kind of makes a wonky grid, to say the best. When you have the mesh tool selected, what I need you to do is go to the dead center of your circle. You'll literally see a thing pop up that says center in like the center of the circle, and click. It kind of made like what looks almost like a crosshair. Leaving your mouse exactly where you had clicked, I want you to click and hold, and you can drag that crosshair kind of and make it look more morphy. Pick any kind of side. I'm going to go top right with this one and let go. I want you to go again somewhere else far away from where you clicked there, maybe bottom left. If you moved it to top left, go bottom right. Kind of go opposite of where you clicked. Click once more, and you'll see it makes another grid, but it kind of like already is warping with the pre-existent one. Go ahead and click again after you do and move this around to a different location just to kind of get something a little bit more dynamic. Now that we have our grid points, you'll see that if you hover over any of these, it'll say anchor. It might not on this one because it's the one that we have selected. Oh, it does. Wonderful. So go ahead and pick any of these. I'm going to start down here with my bottom left because it is the one that I have selected. But you can make sure it says anchor before you click on it. Once it's clicked, if you look over here at the top right of my screen, I already had it up. There's one right here called color. It's a little color window. If for whatever reason that is not there, you can go to window and the very, very literal top of your screen and then scroll down and you'll see color. And then it'll, if it isn't there, it'll add a little box, but I bet you it's there. In here, we can change or add a color to our like mesh net right now. So you kind of have to think of like what colors are going to be good for you. I'm going to go with a pink. I think if you go with a darker fill on your circle, you might want to experiment with more lighter colors in this case. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click in the top right of my circle one, this anchor point up here, and I'm going to try out a nice vibrant yellow. I'm then going to go to the top left and I'm going to choose a light blue. And I think I'm going to leave this one neutral down here as my goal anyway, by not clicking on that one. If you want to fill it, you can, but you've kind of lost your base color at that point. So really only do 2 or 3 in my personal opinion. All right, once you have your 3 colors settled, I should say this. If you make a mistake and you're like, ooh, I don't like that color, there is edit undo. It says undo color right now because color is the last step I made. It'll just say undo and then whatever you have done. Or you can see the hotkey right there is Command Z. So if you ever make a mistake in Illustrator, and you can do this back and back again. So I undid the light blue, and if I were to click again or do undo color again, it would undo the yellow there. So I'm going to go try to get my colors back. You know what? Maybe I won't even do the light blue. Maybe we'll go just 2 colors and keep it simple in this one. So, yeah, it wasn't an actual mistake this time. All right, our next tool is a hidden one. It's called the Twirl Tool. You'll see Width Tool, or Whirl Width Tool, is right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tools down. And you'll also notice no hotkey for this one. What this means is that it's a very specific tool. It's not commonly used. I think we're only going to be using it for this project, so you will have to click and hold and manually select this one. If you're wondering, yes, you can assign hotkeys to other tools and other features in Illustrator and Photoshop. I've actually never done so. I feel like the ones that they give me, are the ones I use often. After you click the Twirl tool, you'll notice that you have this like circle brush wherever your mouse moves. You can change the size of this, and we also have to change some settings in the Twirl tool itself. So before we go ahead and use this, don't click anywhere yet. Go back to your Twirl tool and double click on it. When you double click on it, you're going to see an options window pop up. Everything here is peachy clean with the exception of the twirl rate. I believe that by default it comes at 40%. That's like way too intense. Delete that, type in 5, and then hit OK. I only want 5%. The other setting that we have to change is possibly the size of the brush. This is a huge big boy brush right now. If you look at your keyboard, to the left of the Command key is Alt or Option. Go ahead and hold that down. You're going to notice this little like backwards L appear by your cursor. When that's held down, if you click and hold on your trackpad or mouse, you'll notice that you can edit the shape of the brush. Try to get it to either like a smaller circle, or even you can play around with the ovals. They give you like weirder results sometimes, weirder in a good way. So now that I have my shape, what I can do is click anywhere on any of these lines, and you'll see if you click and hold, it will actually start to twirl them. I like to do a few clicks and then actually change my brush size a little bit. I think that gives me the most dynamic result. Also, you'll see what's going on here is that it is only working the top right portion because that's what I had selected. So I'm going to take the move tool here real quick and just click off entirely, because that way it'll select everything and kind of work with all the lines equally. So I should have done that beforehand. But you know what? Maybe you only want one to move at a certain time. And if you do, we can click on individual lines as well. So I think it's better just to have them all kind of function. So again, I'm going to hold Alt, change the size. We're going to go wide oval this time and get some dramatic results in here. All right, and then we're going to shrink. And maybe I'll go hold for longer. Again, if you hold for a while, it's really going to cut. You can also, not to the best of my abilities, I haven't gotten fantastic results of this, you can hold and swipe or click and swipe. And that will slightly move things a little bit, but not dramatically. So I'm just going to keep doing this and try to get some interesting results. We're going to take a big brush here because I want to see if I can twirl a whole bunch at once. And we'll zip it back in. Almost happy. I just want to make a few more edits and you'll see kind of where we're going. This takes experimentation. You will be doing this multiple times for the best possible result. So do not fret if your first or second is not like the masterpiece that we wanted. All right, after a little bit, you should have kind of like this like hazy kind of cloud effect. Now, it's not taking up the whole screen right now. Got to do a couple more things real quick. I'm going to command minus a bit so I can see everything in my white canvas. And then I'm going to select the move tool right here, again, top left. I'm going to click and drag and select the entire circle. These little boxes in the corner, if my mouse hovers over it, will be a little bit of like a dotted line. I can then enhance or expand my selection. Again, if I hold shift, it keeps it in that perfect circle format, which I do want. So I'm going to hold shift. Just kind of move it around and make sure that it fills the entire canvas. Alternatively, or additionally, you can hover just outside the box and you'll see your icon changes to kind of like a swoop. If you click and hold, then you can rotate. So I might actually go for something a little bit more straightforward like that and click off. Yeah, actually kind of dig that. So I'm going to leave it generally right there. Maybe play with it a little bit more. Just a tad off filter. All right. Once you're happy, once you have in a rotation that you like, we have to kind of block out the shape right now. There's so much of this circle that goes outside the actual print area. Your rectangle that you see, or that black line that you can't get rid of, that's your canvas. Anything that's going to print is only going to be inside that black rectangle. There's a lot outside of here that you, the designer, can see, but nobody else will be able to view it eventually. I just want to get rid of it because it'll give me a better view of what our final product is going to look like. So under the ellipses tool that we have selected, I just want the standard rectangle, which is M, the hotkey M, if you want to hit the hotkey. And then I'm going to go up here to the top left of the corner of the box. It'll snap. Click, drag, and move it down. It'll be a color. It'll probably be whatever last color you selected. And let go. Don't worry, we didn't just like completely ruin your project. I'm then going to go back to the move tool, click, drag, and select everything, the circle and the rectangle. And then on the rectangle, I'm going to right click. Now, for a lot of people, this might be new. You're working on a Mac with a trackpad. How do you right click? Press 2 fingers down at the same time, and then that simulates a right click. So again, your index finger and your middle finger are both pressed at once, or I don't know, 2 fingers of your own choice. And then you'll get all these options here. The one that you're looking for is Make Clipping Mask. Go ahead and click that one. And then voila, it gets rid of all the extra stuff, just kind of leaving, generally speaking. It's still there, it's hidden, but that way you can kind of just see what's relevant in your selection. So there it is. All right, now these are name tags, so they have to have names, right? The text tool, I think the hotkey for that is T. Yes, good, right there. It's right here. It's the 4th one down. It has a literal T as its icon. Go ahead and click anywhere on the screen for right now, and you'll see that it just writes lorem ipsum. I will tell you what that is later, but cool little like quirky thing. It'll only say that in Illustrator. It's highlighted, meaning like we can edit this right now. So go ahead and type your first name. It'll probably come black by default, so we can change that. After you type your name, hover over, like right by the last letter, click, drag, and reselect it. You'll see here is the fill as black. Double tap that. Bring up the color picker window. I highly recommend that we all go white. I think unless you use really, really bright colors, I think it'll unify us in like aesthetics. It's either that or black. Don't go other colors just because we want these name tags to be very, very clean and eligible. The thing that we're looking for next, though, we have to do some property changes to the text itself. While it's highlighted, some of the information will be up here, but this is just a tab that I really like that I want to mention called Properties. It might not be there by default. I don't think it was. So go to Window, and then if you scroll down a little bit, you will find Properties right there. You know what? To scroll or to move around with a trackpad, don't press your two fingers down, but just put your two fingers on the trackpad and move them around, and you will see that it scrolls around. So then again, what was I saying? Properties right here. It's just a nice tab that changes based on the tool and selection that you have. So it says my fill, it says my stroke, opacity, etc. What we're looking for is the type. Right now it's Myriad Pro. I don't really like that one. So go ahead, you can highlight that. And just type in IMP. That'll bring up Impact. I want everybody to choose this one. That way we at least all have the same font. Everybody will be using this. It makes the name tags much more unified. Later on, we'll be doing font projects where you can download and install and create your own. So do not worry, you'll get a chance to choose your own font later. The size, instead of rather choosing a default size, I think it's best that everybody uses their own because some names are shorter or longer than others. So I'm going to go back to the Move tool or Selection tool, and I'm going to go to a corner pocket of my text. I'm going to then click and drag while holding Shift because I definitely want my name to stay in place. And I want to make it pretty big. There we go. I'm going to move it. You can kind of place wherever you want, generally speaking. You can go either top left, top right. Don't go bottom because we also have to include last name below it, so don't go too low. I'd say the lowest you want to go is probably mid-screen. I'm going to place this top right and see what that looks like. And then I'm going to go back to text again for my last name. We're going to do a different trick with this one. Click once, lorem ipsum will come up. Type your last name. You can either you can use all caps or you could go lowercase. I'm going to go lowercase in this design. Sometimes I like the all caps option as well. I want to go back and I want to change this once again to all white. So go to the stroke where it says black, or it's currently selected as like a dark gray. I'm going to go bump that up to white. Then it's already impact because we had impact selected. I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So either your first name or last name should be slightly bigger than your other one. Whatever you want to make, that order anyway. Now, I think this will look really cool. Whichever one's the smaller one, rather than having it be filled. Right now we have a white fill and no stroke. This little button here, this swap like icon, click that while you have your last name selected or whatever one's smaller, and you'll see that it just gives an outline. I'm going to go ahead and click off so we get a full view. Click that, and there's my result. So that right there could be my name tag. Also a little piece of artwork too, kind of all in one. You can move the text around, figure out kind of where you want it and stuff like that. We're going to be making 5 different versions of this, voting on our best one later. So the last thing that we want to do in this video is save this file. So I'm going to go up here to the top left all the way up, like literally outside the Illustrator window, and hit File. And then we're going to go to Save As right here. Wait a second for it to process. I think it's best right now that everybody just chooses to put it on their desktop right here. You'll see desktop as an option. What's great is that when we were setting up the file, if you named it your first name, last name, and then name tag, you'll see it comes up as that.ai. AI stands for Adobe Illustrator file, so that's literally one of the best file types around. So we're good with that one. We don't want to change that. And then go ahead and hit this blue button in the bottom right called Save. There you go. Oh, this might pop up here. Everything in here is always fine. You can go ahead and click OK. All right, there you have it. I'm going to close out of Illustrator. The easy way to do that is to hold down the thing down here and then just quit. I clicked and held on the Illustrator icon. And let's close out of that window and make sure, yep, there it is. There's our file.